we'll have to see what Gunther says. I mean, obviously we didn't get any words from him, but it's very clear that I led everyone astray with my very confident assertions that Braun Breaker would be back. He is very not healthy, apparently, because otherwise that would have been him attacking Seth there.
If you think that Carmelo Hayes is not going to be in the United States Championship match at WrestleMania, I think you're tripping. Welcome to the Lariat Lounge. This is the home of smart takes, hard hits, and real talk. I'm your host, Everson Godfrey, co-host Andrew Skeens. Skeener, they are doing some things. WrestleMania
things are being done.
Things are being done. Some of these things I find really awesome. Some of these things I had to kind of rewatch just to make sure I caught everything correctly. And because admittedly, some of Monday Night Raw, I kind of fell asleep on it. And I had to rewatch it. I was so tired Monday. And so I had to rewatch it, but all that stuff was really great for the most part. SmackDown, some good stuff. Very interesting things we need to talk about. The one thing in particular, I think there's been some wheeling and dealing backstage with regards to one particular person. I think you know who I'm talking about. But all in all, a good week of wrestling for sure. Before we get started, Skeener, how are you doing, man?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Wish it was a little warmer here. We had such a nice like Saturday, Sunday, Monday here, up around the 70s, and now it's back to like mid 40s. But
oh no.
Yeah, it just keeps giving us little teasers, and then we go right back to the frigidness.
Brother, I hope whatever's happening over there with you guys, it is not happening over here, because we have had 2, maybe 3 consistent days of 80 degrees. It has
Very
been
nice.
Absolutely lovely, except for the fact that my freaking HVAC downstairs is currently not working. So we are cooling the entire house with the upstairs AC and just kind of like pumping it on blast and keeping all the doors closed. But it seems to be functioning. My wife is downstairs snoring like a baby. So, all is well in this household. I'm glad everything is all right with you guys. Yeah, man, we got a lot of wrestling to get into. So we might as well jump right on into it. Before we get started, Skeener, please let everyone know where they can tune in week after week to catch this podcast, The Lariat Lounge.
The Lariat Lounge, we're coming at you once a week, every week. Find us on YouTube. Search The Lariat Lounge. That's where you'll find us. That's where you'll find the video podcast. It's where you'll find the audio too. All the old episodes, all the old live streams, any WWE 2K26 content we do. Game
Which
got
we
a
need
big
to do
update.
more.
Yep.
Wait, hold on. Time out. What was in that update?
So they did like a lot of quality of life stuff, but mostly they fixed the not fixed, but they did a big alteration to how like the battle pass system works. So
Okay, explain that really quickly.
Okay, so first of all, you got like everyone got 20 free levels for the battle pass. So whatever
Okay.
level you were on, you just got 20 more.
Okay, nice.
And then I think you logged in early enough that the next one you'll get 20 free ones as well.
Interesting. Okay.
They took the points they lowered the points needed for each level. So instead of 800 it went down to 650.
Okay.
So progression will happen a lot faster. And all the the DLC characters will now be unlocked in the first tier. So like if you only want the characters, you'll unlock them pretty much immediately. You won't have to grind for the wrestlers.
So the rest, okay, so so you're not talking about free versus paid. You're talking about the first tier of the battle pass. So free or paid, the first tier, the first page.
Yes, all the DLC characters, if you buy them, will be in the first thing. Like it's not like it was now, like where you paid for DLC, but then you still had to grind through the tiers to unlock the DLC wrestlers. Now they went back to somewhat of normalcy. That you get them right when you buy them, essentially.
Okay, so, but the other characters that you unlock via the Battle Pass, they're still where they are on the Battle Pass?
I believe it's going to change in the future. So, like, the next one will not have that.
Okay.
This one still will, this first season.
So I still have a little ways to go before I get to Macho Man. Got
Well,
it.
but you got 20 free levels.
What? Yeah,
So
that's true. I have to see where I haven't logged in, and I haven't logged in a couple days, so I haven't seen where I am. I think the last group of people I unlocked was
I'd
it
be
Kurt
shocked if you
Angle or
weren't there because you got 20 free ones.
I may be. I think either I unlocked Kurt Angle and the
Mhm.
IC title, or it was the British Bulldog. I can't remember. I think it was one of those two were the last ones I unlocked. I just can't remember exactly which one. But I have to log in at some point between today and Friday and see where I'm at. Um,
But yeah, you'll catch us on YouTube playing some more WWE
which we need to do
2K26.
more of.
If you want to catch the audio podcast, if that's your thing, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever else you get your shows. That's where we are. We're over on Instagram at the Lariat Lounge Podcast. And as always, feel free to send us an email at thelariatlounge@gmail.com.
We really appreciate that, guys. We always appreciate it. Also, make sure you get yourself some merch. People are already receiving their merch. You may have already gotten your merch if you've ordered it, but now's the time. It's WrestleMania season. Get yourself some Lariat Lounge merch. 6 fresh designs up there for you guys. I mean, fresh designs meaning the fresh ones that we put up last time. And go grab yourself some merch, man. ProWrestlingTees.com/the Lariat Lounge. Get yourself some of this merch. Support the podcast. Everything that you purchase goes directly back into the funding of this podcast. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You guys are literally keeping the lights on here. So we really do appreciate it. We really do appreciate it. Make sure you go grab yourself some merch. But hey, enough with the fluff. Let's get to the stuff. So, Skeener, we're going to start with the triple. Did we get an answer for what this segment was called?
I believe Lucha Lounge is our best
I
suggestion.
like it. That's
The
locked
Lucha
in.
Lounge.
That's locked in.
That came from our steadfast buddy Gage on a YouTube comment.
Gage, let me ask you a question. How did you get out of the email? I appreciate you as always, but how'd you get out of the email? I got to check.
I saw him and his family gallivanting around Disney World last week. So he escaped. He escaped.
Okay,
and
okay.
took a
So
trip.
security is lacking over in the emails. Got it. We'll put a fix to that. But okay, so we're gonna start off with the Lucha Lounge. So this was week 3 and the final week of the Rey de Reyes premium event. So these episodes for Rey de Reyes are short. They only have a few segments on them, which I like. It's not bad, but we have 3 events to speak on. So the first was a AAA World Cruiserweight Championship match. It was a fatal 4-way between the Laredo Kid, Jack Cartwheel, TJ Perkins, and Dragon Lee. This was, and usually is, when it has any of these 4 people in this match, one of the best matches on the card. Hands down. The Laredo Kid, Dragon Lee, top notch. Jack Cartwheel, this guy, so obviously he does a bunch of cartwheels.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's pretty much a given with him. But dude, if there's anybody who I could genuinely say is probably next up to be somebody who could possibly get called up to like NXT or called to NXT, I should say, Jack Cartwheel may be that dude. He is, some of the stuff he does is genuinely breathtaking and amazing. It's crazy what this guy can do. And the amount of cartwheels he can do in place without moving is out of this world. And of course, TJP. We all remember TJP.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize he was there.
Oh, yeah. TJP. He's got a slightly different, more Green Day 2002 look to him right now.
Right.
Still with the video game music, though.
Is he still TJP and not TJ Perkins?
No, he goes by TJ Perkins.
Okay.
I say TJP for the people who may not recognize TJ Perkins.
Now that Vince is gone and he doesn't hate Perkins.
Oh, is that why he was TJP?
That was a fun dirt sheet rumor. He became TJP instead of TJ Perkins because Vince had a deep disdain for the restaurant chain Perkins.
Wow. Okay. Listen,
I don't know if I buy that one or not. I kind of do just because I want
buy that.
I want it to be true.
That sounds so ridiculously Vince that it sounds true. I'm inclined to believe it. But no, TJ Perkins, which I don't mind TJP, is in his match as well. TJ Perkins is great, always has been great, and he's still great here. I will say, AAA, we need to have a word, okay? We need to do something about the referees, okay? Not one, Skeener, not two, but on 3 different occasions in this match, he should have counted the 3. It was obvious the 3 should have been counted. But the match wasn't over. There was a spot that was coming, and the ref didn't count the 3. Now, it's one thing when, we, the fans who are viewing online, watching it on our screens, catch it, and the live crowd doesn't. That's one thing. But this crowd caught it all 3 times, Skeener. It was to the point that by the time the match ended, the crowd was not even into the finish. They weren't into the finish because they knew the match should have ended 3 times prior to. If we're going by the regulation of the count, right? But it didn't happen. You guys got to do better. You have got to do better. Like, unless you guys are going to pull a WWE rule where it's like, hey, if you're not in place at the time when the count is called, the match is going to get called, or you pull some sort of other type of shenanigans, something to where you can give your referee a legitimate out. Don't do that, because that looked like crap. That looked like crap. It didn't look good. The fans didn't like it. And honestly, it was the best match on night 3 of Rey de Reyes. And the fact that it did not get the adulation of the fans at the end of the match is just a testament to how bad those calls were. So do better. Laredo Kid takes the win here. Rightfully so. He came in as the cruiserweight champion. He walks out the cruiserweight champion. Laredo Kid is freaking awesome. And the feud between Laredo Kid and Dragon Lee, that's freaking awesome too. For the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks, or I think they've been feuding with each other. But that feud is crazy good. But yeah, Laredo Kid takes that W. The next match was, so this was a very interesting match. So this match was El Fiscal versus Abismo Negro. Now, if you look at a picture of this match, or the picture of the 2 wrestlers that are involved in this match, you will notice that they both have the exact same mask. It's exactly the same. As a matter of fact, they are 2 versions of the same character. Now, here's the interesting stuff, right? Because there's always some great lucha drama, and I love it. Okay. So Abismo Negro, he was given the title of Abismo by the original Abismo. Okay. Abismo and Abismo Negro are not related. Abismo Negro is just the guy who he gave the title to. Another wrestler entirely. Abismo Negro's son is El Fiscal. El Fiscal feels that the Abismo name is his birthright, and he should have the name. Abismo Negro, however, refuses to give the name up. But Abismo Negro is a POS. He is a bad guy through and through. And he sullies the good name of Abismo. And so you've got this situation, right? Where, yes, Abismo gave the name to this guy to take over the role, but he's run it into the ground with his heelish tactics, right? And his ghoulish ways. And the son, who did not get to take the name, is an upstanding hero. And he wants the name back so that he can give credibility back to it, and he feels like it's his birthright. Both these guys are not high-flying luchas, okay? These are big, bruising, brawling luchas. And they always fight in like hardcore matches. So this match was no exception. And it was a nasty fight. And it was a brawl. And it was, I believe there were some weapons that were used. And maybe there were, and the Tombstone Pile Driver, which is a move that has been banned in AAA, was used at least once by Abismo Negro onto El Fiscal, which I believe got him disqualified. And I think that's how El Fiscal won the match via pinfall. And then Abismo Negro attacked him after the match. And then he did a Tombstone Pile Driver onto the table, which brought out officials, and they escorted him out. And then they put El Fiscal on a stretcher and carried him out. So Godspeed to El Fiscal. I hope that he gets released from the local medical facility and that he's all right after this hard-hitting match. And then we ended night 3 with Penta addressing El Hijo del Vikingo. Vikingo is going to challenge Penta for the Intercontinental Championship.
When?
If I'm not mistaken, I feel like, well, I don't know, is it WrestleMania?
Well, it won't be at WrestleMania because Penta's in that ladder match unless they add Vikingo to that ladder
Okay,
match.
no, so, okay. Vikingo's not going to be in that match. So it must be happening prior to. So maybe it's, oh, no, that's right. Penta's defending it on AAA. It'll be the first time the Intercontinental Championship is defended on AAA. So I believe it's going to be next week on AAA, which means we already know who the winner is going to be.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Now the Penta's defending it at Mania, in a ladder match?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's hope he wins. I'm
going to go ahead and...
I'm going to go ahead and throw my lot in on the
winning.
fact that Penta's going to win this match. Though, I will say this. Would I be surprised if Vikingo got added to that match? That ladder match? No, I don't think I'd be surprised if he did.
Be interesting because I think it's a 5-man right now.
I think it's only 5 people. And so if they added him, he'd make the 6. And they typically do 6 in these matches.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. So I could see that.
Yeah, but that wraps up the Lucha Lounge. So I love that name, by the way. Thank you, Gage. That's awesome. That wraps up the Lucha Lounge. Make sure you tune in every week on WWE's YouTube channel. You go to their live streams. You can check out every episode of AAA since AAA and WWE came into partnership together. So make sure you catch up on your Lucha, but that's your Lucha Lounge. So now...
Yeah, he will defend... He's defending it a week before the first night of WrestleMania. So there you go.
So is that next week?
Not this Saturday, but next Saturday.
Okay, so wait, we have 2 weeks before Mania.
Yeah, well, yeah, essentially.
Okay, I think the AAA show airs in the middle of the week or something. So that he may defend it right before WrestleMania Saturday. Okay, interesting. Well, he was all up in Omos's face. Penta was all up in Omos's face. So listen, it's possible that Penta retains his championship, Omos gets involved somehow, and you end up getting Vikingo in that ladder match. I would not be surprised, particularly because they only got 5 people in it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get Vikingo in the ladder match at Mania, which would be an amazing call up for that guy to do his, like, I think he showed up on programming before, hasn't he? Vikingo? I think he has.
Yeah, he did something because I remember him being.
Yeah, he did something. I mean, but listen, that's a huge step up right there to be on the WrestleMania card in that ladder match. If he gets called up, that's gonna put a lot of attention on him. So listen, I hope he does because he's great in the ring, even though he's hated right now. But that's your Lucha Minute, the Lucha Lounge. I keep saying Lucha Minute. So jumping over to SmackDown. So let's see. I'm scrolling through the event here. I'm seeing what stuck out to me more than anything. Oh, no, let's address this first. Let's go ahead and address this first. Let's address the elephant in the backstage in the writer's room. Okay.
Oh.
So tell me how Sami Zayn gets himself into the United States Open Challenge. Trick Williams, just before this, is backstage with what is his name? Skeener, help me with the GMs.
Nick
Nick Aldis. And Nick Aldis tells Trick that he is going to WrestleMania, that he's going to have himself a WrestleMania match, right? So he tells him this. Sami Zayn comes into frame, and he's talking to Nick about WrestleMania as well. And Nick tells Sami straight up, listen, man, you have no momentum going for you right now. We don't really have anything for you. And Trick begins to taunt Sami as Sami walks away. Sami throws a finger up, turns back around, and then he decks Trick. And then he tells Nick Aldis he's going to find his way to WrestleMania on his own. So then later on, we've got Carmelo Hayes, and he's out in the ring. He's waiting for the U.S. Open Challenge. Whose music hits? Sammy freaking Hogan. So Sammy Hogan comes down to the ring, and just before the match is about to get started, Trick's music hits. Trick wants to come down and sit ringside and watch the match. And that's pretty much what he does the entire match. With his feet up, the lemon pepper steppers are on the announce table. He's pretty much watching the match. He doesn't really get involved at all. until right at the end of the match. He gets up on the apron. I can't remember the interaction that's happening between Sammy and Carmelo, but Trick goes to apparently try and punch Sammy, and Sammy ducks and pulls Carmelo, and Carmelo gets decked by Trick. And then Sammy, what is he? How does Sammy win that match? He doesn't win off that punch, and he certainly didn't win off that of a blue
he
thunder
hit him
bomb.
he hit him with a haluva kick after that.
Okay, I didn't. Okay, so he took that punch and then he kind of fell into the corner, or did Sammy throw him into the corner or something like that? Either way,
One or the other, yeah.
he ends up in the corner.
Exactly.
He hits a haluva kick, and Sami Zayn is your new United States champion. Now, I get some people's criticism in the moment. How can you just so unceremoniously take the title away from Carmelo Hayes this close to WrestleMania and put it on Sammy?
Were there people that were super stoked on this U.S. title reign by Carmelo Hayes?
I think there were some people who did not like the idea of Carmelo carrying the U.S. title all the way up until like 2 weeks before Mania and then dropping it to Sammy. That's the sentiment that I got. Now, here's the thing. If you think that Carmelo Hayes is not going to be in the United States Championship match at WrestleMania, I think you're tripping. I do not think that Carmelo just straight dropped the title to Sammy and now we're just moving on in the next 2 weeks to Trick and Sammy. Not after that match ended the way that it ended. You best believe in the 2 weeks between now and WrestleMania, Carmelo is going to have a lot to say to Trick, to Sammy, to Nick Aldis about how he lost that match. And he's going to get inserted into that. And I think it's going to be a triple threat for the United States Championship with Sami Zayn going in as a champion. And I don't think Sammy is walking out with that belt.
No. I'm not as sold that Carmelo will find his way into the match at Mania, but I know that Trick Williams is walking out with that belt.
Oh, yeah.
It's time. It's time to start his ascension, and it's going to start at WrestleMania. So.
Oh, listen, it's starting there. And we need to go ahead and kickstart Sammy's heel turn too. Like if he wins the title here and then he just keeps it, there's no need for him to go heel, right? He's already accomplished what he's trying to accomplish right now. And that is to carry a title, carry it into WrestleMania. And if he wins, then he's still the U.S. champion. He'll just go back to doing the U.S. Open challenges like he did before and call it a day. But no, he's got to drop that title. And he's got to drop it to Trick because Trick has been the person who has been antagonizing him this entire time, right? And it will work out for the best if Trick goes over at Mania. However, I do believe in my bones that Carmelo Hayes is getting added to this match. To dump him so unceremoniously, I do not think that is going to be the case here, particularly because there is history between Trick and Carmelo. And we've been getting a little bit of teasing of them running into each other lately. And now Trick has directly cost Carmelo the championship, right? So I think we're going to get that triple threat at Mania. I think Trick's going to go over. He's going to go over by pinning Sammy. And then from there, I think we're going to go into a feud with Trick and Carmelo over the U.S. championship, with Sammy going into his full heel mode. And we may run it back at some point.
Yeah, you know that makes sense. I see the vision there.
I think that's where we go with that. But, you know, it's anybody's guess. I would feel really bad for Carmelo because I think he has had a pretty good U.S. title run. Certainly was better than Ilya's. And honestly, I think it was better than Sammy's too. I think it was better than Sammy's U.S. title run as well. He's had more story development between him and Sammy, between him and Ilya, right? And more backstage segments than either one of those two combined. And he's held it for just as long. And so I think he, of those three people, has probably had the best U.S. title run. So to drop it like that, I just don't think the WWE is going to do him like that, but we'll have to see. But your thoughts, Skeeter?
I enjoyed that we are getting further along in Trick Williams' development. That was the main thing for me, is that this is setting up for him to win that title at WrestleMania and start his ascension to becoming a megastar. That's what I was most thrilled with here, is that it seems like just a step into that inevitable direction.
Oh yeah, it's Trick's time. It's Trick's time. He's going to win that belt, and he's going to be obnoxious in the best way possible. And it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's Trick's time. It's about time we put some gold on him. And I would not be surprised if Trick holds on to that US championship for longer than most. Because I think Trick is a type of superstar that if done right, you can elevate that US championship. He has been interacting with names and faces that are bigger than that belt. And I think he has established himself with the fans as somebody who the company sees as a star, who the fans see as a star. And if you put the title on him, right? And then you have him have some really good feuds, not with just the likes of Carmelo, not with just the likes of Sammy and Ilya, maybe a Solo Sikoa, but you bring in some people who Trick has been bumping heads with over the course of the last 6 or 7 months. Maybe some people who can do a little tour with the US Championship and the US Championship scene. Really elevate it. The same way that Becky Lynch did with the Women's Intercontinental Championship. You could really do some things. I think this is the best opportunity that WWE has had in a long time to really put some respect on the US Championship. And Trick is the person to do it. And I think if this is a missed opportunity, it is all WWE's fault, because Trick is that guy. Putting that title on him at WrestleMania 42 is the biggest pop that title is going to get this year. So,
Oh yeah. Well,
what you thinking?
probably. I mean, John Cena won the Intercontinental title, so never mind. You're right.
I think it's gonna be the biggest pop that the
Yeah,
US
for
title's
sure.
gotten this year.
For
And
sure.
and if you don't take advantage of that, then you have just genuinely stated that we don't give a damn about this title whatsoever. So, but let's just jump back in this card, because we start out with Matt Cardona attacking Randy Orton for the vicious assault that happened last week. Now, I don't think anybody expected that this was going to end any other way than how it ended at the end of this show. Randy went to town. He took Matt Cardona to church, folks. And that was a necessary beatdown. It was one that needed to happen, because we needed to see the Randy Orton that was being set up for Stephanie McMahon to show up on Monday and talk about. Which, by the way, I thought that was a really great callback to bring Stephanie in to kind of hint at the type of Randy Orton that we're dealing with. But dude, Randy is just doing some of the best work he's done in such a long time. Just to see him doing the type of work he's doing right now. And Cody, I think, is playing his role great in this. He ends the show by showing up and giving a pretty royal beatdown on Randy, which that seems to be going around quite a bit right now, which is, just people coming out ready to throw fisticuffs and throwing blows, and a lot of officials coming from the back, separating people, pulling people apart. But we're getting close to WrestleMania, so it seems like a lot of the talking is starting to go out the window, and a lot of people are ready to start fighting. So that's how we started the show. That's how we ended the show. Skeener, your thoughts on the developments between Randy and Cody this week?
I thought it. I liked it. I didn't think it's not as explosive, but it was good. I thought the better stuff happened, obviously, on Raw, which we'll get to, that you talked about with Stephanie and Cody and that. But this was fine. Throw Matt Cardona out there as the sacrificial lamb and let him take a beating, and let Orton,
Yeah.
just show that he's listening to those voices, and that it's going to be a tough road for Cody.
Yeah.
At WrestleMania.
Well, look, let's talk about it. So this is the precursor to the top of Raw, right? Where Cody comes out, and as he's in the ring, you get Stephanie's music hits, and Stephanie McMahon comes to the ring. She gets a pretty big applause, because Stephanie is now not the Stephanie that people boo anymore, but they cheer her because she's a legend now. And Stephanie comes out, and she gets a microphone, and Cody seems utterly confused as to why Stephanie is in the ring. Stephanie proceeds to tell Cody that he is not prepared for this version of Randy Orton, and that this version of Randy Orton is far more cruel, far more sadistic than any version of Randy Orton that you, as this version of Cody Rhodes, is prepared for. And I believe Stephanie said something about like Cody is not his father, speaking
Yeah,
about Dusty.
essentially you can't deal with it. You're not your dad. You can't deal with this Randy Orton.
I mean, as if Dusty could.
Yeah, I didn't really that one. I wasn't sure what the implication was there, but
Yeah,
overall, I thought both of them. I mean, I thought that was a home run segment for sure.
I honestly, I did not. I did not think.
Really?
I did not think this was too great of a segment. I
Oh, I thought it was. I thought it was like I said, a home run.
listen. I hate to be the dissenter here, but I did not think it was that great, and I didn't think it was bad. But at the same time, I think the reason why you just said what you said, right, which is that line about Dusty, like you're not your father. I didn't get it. Like as if Dusty was able to handle Randy. Dusty got punted around by Randy too. Literally got
Yeah,
punted around by
right.
Randy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why was that line even brought up? I get it. What we're trying to do is we're trying to sell the stakes to the crowd, right? We're trying to sell that to the crowd that Randy is not the Randy that Cody needs to be messing around with. This is a different type of Randy, and if you're going to beat him, you got to be a different type of Cody, right? So I get it. I totally understand it. The execution, they didn't drop the ball anywhere. It's not like anybody fumbled their words, but that line didn't make any sense, right? And then also, Cody's line didn't make any sense. With all due respect, Steph, you're not your father either. No shit. No shit. Why did that get a slap? That I don't understand it. I don't understand
I mean,
it.
I think that was just the "don't talk about my dad like that" slap.
Sure. But talk about your dad like what? All he said was, you're not your father either. It didn't make sense. It wasn't even an insult.
I took it as you don't have the clout and resume to come out here and talk to me like this. Is how I took it. I'm not
Okay.
going. You don't get this like I do. You're not in it. You don't get it like your dad did. So don't talk to me about this stuff. Is at least how I took it.
Okay.
My thing was that this did a good job of getting Cody fired up, essentially.
Okay.
Which is what I thought. Is he showed a little fire. I liked him playing into his and Randy's history, and I mean, I just thought it was good. I thought they both did a great job. I thought the crowd was really into it, and I thought Cody showing a little fire was very necessary.
So is that what I'm supposed to take from the thank you at the end?
What?
Because at the end of that,
I needed, yes, the thank you was, I may not have liked what you came out here and said, but I needed to hear it. After I took a second, thank you. I needed to hear that. Thanks for waking me up, essentially, is how I took it.
so I'll say this. If they give that to me on Friday, that Cody comes out and he talks to the crowd about what Stephanie said to him, and he leans into this idea that he's going to need to be a different kind of Cody, which he likely will, then it will color this segment differently for me. Like I said, I didn't think that this was a bad segment. I know what they were trying to do, but I kind of feel like if you're going to lean into this aspect of things, you've got to execute them correctly so that the beats make sense. I don't understand the reference to I don't get the reference to Dusty. I don't see how that made any difference at all because Dusty got punted around by Randy. I don't see how saying you're not your father either is some sort of insult. And listen, if Stephanie is meaning it in the way of like, hey, hold on, Bucko, you're not on the same level as I am. There's levels to this. I don't know. I think Stephanie is not the right person for that. But whatever the case may be, the segment wasn't bad, and if they capitalize on it correctly on SmackDown, I think it'll make a whole lot more sense and work a little bit better. Let's see. So let me ask you something.
Yeah.
You text me on, was it Friday
Oh yeah,
or Monday when you were talking about There Goes Nikki?
Friday, right? Yeah, Friday.
Okay. So
But it
I
ended up being nothing.
okay, so what is it that you were
Well,
addressing at the break?
she is very so after Randy's opening, we have the Bellas against Charlotte and Alexa.
Right?
And not Nia and Lash come out and they're going to watch from ringside. They're going to get involved. We all know what's going to happen here,
Right, right.
which is, everyone's going to get involved. We kind of talked about how this was setting up for the fatal four-way, and that's what we're getting.
Yep.
So, but what I was talking about is right after the match ends
Okay.
and Nia and Lash come in after the Bellas get the win because Charlotte and Alexa were distracted and hit and Lash hit Alexa, I think
Okay.
was what it did, and Brie rolled her up. That was it. But yeah, Nikki got Lash came in and or Lash and Nia come in and they push Nikki and Brie, and Nikki goes down all gingerly, and then when Nia throws her out of the ring, she very gently guides her out of the ring, and then Nikki is down at ringside for the next 3 minutes, and she doesn't come back in the ring at the end when Brie comes in, and there was a doctor over there talking to her. You could see the ringside doctor was over there. First, the ref was over there for a while,
Okay.
and then the ringside doctor was over there for a while. But then, a couple segments later, she's up and fine backstage. So I don't know if she was being overly cautious or something. But yeah, I thought
Oh.
she was back. I thought she was hurt. I mean, something obviously happened
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
what I said happened. You can tell when Nia throws her out of the ring, she tells Nia you know, just let me get out of the ring, because she didn't throw her hard, and then she's down for 3 4 minutes. She doesn't get
Yeah.
back in the ring. The doctor's over there, but then I don't know. Maybe she just who knows. I have no idea.
So you were
But
saying There Goes Nikki because you
as
thought
in,
that.
I thought she was hurt. She thought she was hurt.
Oh, okay,
Apparently,
okay, okay. I
yeah.
took that There Goes Nikki so different. Like I saw that text and I was like, what is Nikki doing some wheeling and dealing Sami Zayn type stuff?
Oh,
That's what I thought. And so I was looking for it and I was like, I don't see it. But okay. Well,
no,
listen,
if you watch that segment, towards the end, Nikki just disappears because she's out at ringside on the opposite side of the hard cam, just with the
yeah.
doctor on the ground.
Huh.
Because my wife was watching it with me, even she's like, "Oh, Nikki looks hurt," and I'm like, "Yeah, this is bad." And then I think it was just after the next commercial, there she was,
Yeah,
just upright and fine.
abundance of caution maybe.
I guess, yeah.
Abundance of caution maybe. And listen, sometimes you get these little maybe something like
Well,
a
you never know.
stinger
Yeah,
or
yeah, with her neck,
yeah,
you'd rather be
you
cautious
never know.
than.
You'd rather be safe than sorry. So, hey, listen, I hope that everything is fine. She seemed like she was
Well, it
fine
seems
toward the end of the
yeah.
match. This 4-way tag match for the women's tag team championships is going to be a match. It has not been the best booked thing. In fact, I think it's been one of the worst booked things.
Yeah, it's not. I think given who's involved and their potential, I think this has been slightly disappointing. Because I think
Agreed.
all 8 of the wrestlers here are capable of better, but I don't know. Who knows? Who knows whether it's they're not getting enough time, they're not being allowed to sell it, it's just not clicking. But it's definitely not my most anticipated match on WrestleMania, that's for sure.
No, the it seems like the way these segments are being written, it just seems like it's take every opportunity possible to put all the teams on the screen at the same time.
Right. It's one of
And
those
you know
that
what I
they're
mean?
doing.
And nobody wins a match. Every match. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, they had a well, who was it Bailey and Lyra
Bailey and Lyra got
on
got
Monday.
a championship match on Monday.
On Monday. And of course, like with every other match, that match ended in disqualification because people got involved and the match ended the way that it did. You could tell the crowd at MSG was not happy with the way that match ended. And not that they were expecting Lyra and Bayley to win. I don't think anybody was expecting that, particularly because we know what is coming at WrestleMania. So I don't think anybody was expecting that. But I think it's like we have just overused this same trope in this same feud so many times that it feels lazy.
Yep,
and I
that's
think
what I was going to say.
It feels lazy, and I think the fans were responding to it in kind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
that's where I'm at too. So that's what I was going to say. It's kind of lazy booking.
Yeah,
Lazy booking.
lazy booking.
As Jim Cornette would say, lazy booking.
Oh, Jim Cornette. I can't remember what it was. I came across some clip. I can't remember what it was that he would. Oh, I think it might have been Oba and Brock, the first interaction that they had. His take on that was wild. And I
don't
remember
think I saw his on the first one, but I know he's liked all the rest of it.
I think I don't think he disliked the first one, but it was something that he said. I can't remember because it's been a few weeks now since that first interaction. And I came across the clip randomly. Like, I don't follow Jim Cornette's podcast, but I just came across the clip randomly and I wanted to hear what he had to say. And I don't remember exactly what he said, but feel free, if you're listening and you want to know, to go find Jim Cornette's podcast on YouTube. It's certainly up there. That's why I saw it. But he said something that was just kind of wild. And I remember thinking I was going to say something about it on the episode that was corresponding with that week that came out, but I just never did. I think I forgot. But Jim Cornette, man, like some of these guys, they have good takes. Sometimes you can tell the era that they're from, and it just doesn't always align with where professional wrestling is currently.
Oh, I don't. So I think he's more entertaining than has great ideas about wrestling in the modern day. It's more the entertainment factor than it is.
I don't disagree, but I do feel like even what he does that is entertaining is rooted in who he is, and who he is a product of a particular wrestling era. And I think that it can be funny sometimes, and then sometimes it can come off a little cringy.
Oh,
it
for
can
sure.
come off a little it can come off a little cringy because of the era of wrestling that he came from. And I just kind of feel like something that he said about that segment just came off a little weird, a little cringy. But it is what it is. So I'm scrolling down SmackDown's card, and on the side panel of the SmackDown results page, I see a picture of Danhausen and Kit Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
So remind me, on SmackDown, did Kit Wilson wrestle? Did he wrestle
Jelly Roll?
Jelly Roll on SmackDown?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Jelly just went in there and had his match.
And yeah, and he beat Kit Wilson.
A decent match, to be honest.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
He can kind of work.
It wasn't bad for his first singles match ever. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I definitely think Jelly has improved a lot from the last time he was in the ring. Did Danhausen curse Kit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Kit Wilson was cursed before he lost this match.
Listen, when you sell Danhausen's curses, to me, it just makes Danhausen so much more interesting. It makes it so much more interesting. Nothing more interesting with Danhausen, honestly, this week in wrestling than Danhausen and IShowSpeed.
Yes.
That segment with the Vision and the Usos, IShowSpeed, that to me is where you do great storytelling. And I think every beat of that worked. Kit Wilson loses to Jelly Roll to get back to Kit and Danhausen. So Miz is still cursed.
Yeah, and I think still there is some sort of this four-way interaction going to happen at WrestleMania, right? Danhausen, Jelly Roll, Kit Wilson, and The Miz.
Has Danhausen interacted with Jelly Roll yet?
I think not on TV, just on like YouTube.
Wait, did he interact on YouTube?
Yeah.
You know I don't keep up. So what happened between Danhausen and Jelly Roll on YouTube?
They have just ran into each other backstage.
Okay.
And Jelly Roll is confused about everything. That is Danhausen.
I get that part.
But I mean, you have Kit Wilson and The Miz, you have Danhausen and Miz, you have Danhausen, Kit Wilson, you got Kit Wilson and Jelly Roll. It just seems like these four are headed towards doing something with each other.
Yeah, I mean,
Possibly involving WrestleMania host John Cena.
when did John Cena get announced as the WrestleMania host?
He announced that Monday during the day, and then they replayed it on Raw.
Okay, I didn't see the replay.
Yes. He took to social media and announced that he will be hosting WrestleMania.
Okay, that's interesting. So you think John Cena is going to be involved somehow in this Danhausen nonsense?
I could see that. John Cena seems to be a very big fan of Danhausen from all the stuff he posts on social media and how much he shouts him out in his posts and stuff. So I think that would make sense.
So would you say John Cena is a Stanhausen?
He's at least a Fanhausen.
That makes more sense. A Fanhausen.
At the very least, he's a big Fanhausen.
I get that. I would consider myself a Fanhausen at this point. I like what he's doing. I could see the tag match between Kit Wilson and The Miz, Danhausen, and Jelly Roll. John Cena.
My only pause is I don't know if they're going to have Danhausen wrestle this soon.
Well, that was what my hangup was when you first pitched it, because I was like, Danhausen wrestling. I don't know anything. I barely knew anything about Danhausen at all coming into his WWE run, let alone what he is like in the ring. Have you seen him wrestle?
I have. Yes, I've seen some. Well, I've seen him wrestle as this character, and then I also saw one of his matches from before he created this character.
Okay.
Which are vastly different, obviously.
Okay. Is it?
It's pure comedy wrestling. Like it's nothing serious in the slightest.
Okay, so his Danhausen wrestling style is nothing serious.
Correct. And it doesn't pretend to be at all.
Okay.
Which is why I don't know if there'll be a match or maybe they'll just do, an extended segment with the four of them.
Honestly, because of what you just said, I think I'm more likely to think that we do see Danhausen in a match. I think the goofiness of it could work, but at the very same time, you could do a segment. I don't know how many matches they need to schedule for a 2-night WrestleMania.
Let's go ahead and see how many are on the card, because I think, we may have we're talking about maybe some additions to matches, but I don't think we're going to add too many more matches in and of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, we still have some people.
We've got 12 matches scheduled right now.
Okay, I mean, granted, we don't. I'm not worried about splitting them between night 1 and night 2, but we got 12 matches. So if we stood with 12 right now, you'd have 6 each night. That's a lot of matches on a card for one night.
If you're going to give them time, yeah.
If you're going to give them time. But I don't see any of these matches getting the freaking Brock Lesnar Obafemi treatment. Like, I think that match is not going to be a long match.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be a long match.
Probably is what I'm looking at. That's definitely, I would think, your shortest match.
I agree. Right. And so I think if you give the rest of those matches longer than that, I mean, you're going to get more than 5 minutes. And you know what I'm saying? Yeah. 10 to 15. And you got 6 matches per night. I mean, do we add another match to the card? Is LA Knight in any of these matches?
Okay. So we're going to get something added there. So that's going to be one more.
What, LA Knight?
Because I think we're trending towards Usos and LA Knight against the Vision and IShowSpeed.
Oh, right. Because they were okay. Yes. Okay. We'll get
which I am excited for.
I'm excited for that too.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that too. That segment on Monday with we might as well just jump into it now. So
yeah, we're jumping all over the place. So, it doesn't matter.
It don't matter. So Danhausen cursed IShowSpeed last week.
Yes.
Speed shows up and he's talking to Adam Pearce and he is frantically trying to find Danhausen because a lot of unfortunate things have apparently been happening to him in the week since he got cursed. And Danhausen just shows up. IShowSpeed begs him to remove the curse. Danhausen agrees if he gives him, $1 million, gives him his YouTube channel.
I think $1 billion. I think he settled at $1 billion.
Okay, $1 billion. Sorry, I'm mistakenly using M instead of a B. So $1 billion, his YouTube channel, his own cameraman to follow him around so he can make Danhausen clips. And Speed was like, you know I can't do that. I can't do that. And if I'm not mistaken, in the middle of that segment, Danhausen was approached by not Danhausen, but Speed was approached by who? Did he get introduced to someone backstage? Because Danhausen disappears. I don't remember how he disappears.
It was Adam Pierce. It started off with Adam Pierce was back there, and he was talking about how he's got Speed front row seats for the street fight,
Right.
the tag title street fight, and then LA Knight comes by and he's going to be the guest commentator.
Okay. So I believe LA Knight is the one who starts talking to Speed. And Danhausen was there, and then Danhausen disappears. And then Speed gets ushered off to his front row seat. Then we get the Vision. We get the Usos. The Usos have new theme music.
I know.
Which
What are your thoughts?
So I don't not like it. I don't not like it. I need to hear it again to really get a grasp on how I feel about it. I'm glad they're not going back to using the old Uso music because essentially now that's Jay's theme music. I need to hear it again though because I'm not sold on it yet.
Yeah, I was not a fan.
Oh yeah.
I think it's too far from the people want to yeet. Let them yeet, for God's sake.
I think they're gonna yeet when Jay turns on Jimmy.
I mean, probably, but I don't know. We'll see.
You can't sell them. You can't oversell them the yeet. Like you got to hold it for when it's right. I don't mind taking the yeet away if it builds to something good. And I think honestly the Usos are building towards something good because they are still intimately currently tied into this Roman stuff. Roman and Punk. I think that this is going to play into
Even though they weren't this week, which is interesting.
Yeah, well, I think they weren't. I think them not being tied into the Roman stuff with Punk directly this week was a good thing because I think that we needed to have this beat specifically be with the Usos dropping the tag titles, right? They haven't even held them that long, right? And they dropped them to the Vision. And I think that this is going to be where we start to see the cracks forming between Jimmy and Jay. And is it just me, Skeeter? Or have we been getting some emphasis being placed on Jay Uso, Roman Reigns, and who's really calling the shots?
Oh, they definitely have because they highlighted that
in the video package.
Yeah, right.
And I heard that last week when it first played, and I wanted to text you because I was like, yo, they are leaning very heavy into this idea of who's the real tribal chief. And they highlighted Jay, like we were talking about last week, Jay telling Joe, you better get him. You better get him. Wreck them all. And then Roman did it. And to highlight Punk saying who's really the tribal chief, I think you've got to draw a dividing line between how Jay sees himself, how Jimmy sees Jay, and how Jimmy sees Jay and Jimmy as the Usos as a team. And Jay doesn't see himself as that anymore. I think that leads directly back into how Jay felt after dropping the world championship. That he needed to figure out what he needed to do to get back to his world heavyweight championship. And Jimmy's like, nah, bro, we can be a tag team again. And I think that's where you get where Jay's like, we ain't anything. I'm main event Jay. Who are you? And then you get this division drawn between them. You've got Jay, who's calling the shots between him and Roman. I think if Roman sticks around after Mania, at least long enough to help this story along, I think you could get into some really, really interesting storytelling that could build to a Jimmy versus Jay match at a PLE in the near future. That would matter and that the fans would get behind. But what do you think?
Yeah, like I said, I'm excited if we do this 6-man at WrestleMania. I'm really excited. Logan and Austin Theory have already done some fun stuff on social media with the tag titles. I think they're doing, yeah. I think they're by the pool at Logan's house, just like celebrating the titles. But I think I think Speed did a great job. Like his facial expressions when they were like, when they were essentially like, when Logan and Theory were forcing him to celebrate with them. He's like in the middle and they're holding his hands up. He's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like, no.
What I liked was when they were going back up the entry ramp And Speed is still like, I'm not with you guys. I didn't do that on purpose.
Yeah,
And then he's
right.
like, you should really come with us because they're gonna kill you.
Yeah,
Like, you know they're gonna kill you, right?
yeah.
Like, you should stick with us
And
because
yeah, and Paul says that again backstage, and
yeah,
yeah, that's just it's really good. And
that's
I think yeah, and you're right. The interesting parts of this are how does this play into Jay's development? And I was really watching his facial expressions and how he played it when Jimmy got pinned there at the end, and it was
yeah.
just like that exhaustion. Like I thought it was good. I think we're headed towards exactly where you said we are, which is this Jey Uso heel turn of sorts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That
I'm
look,
excited to see it develop, and I hope we get that 6-man match added to WrestleMania.
I agree. I agree. That look of not even stunned disbelief, just disbelief on Jay's face at
Yeah,
the end of the match, I think just feeds right into this idea that Jay is going to blame a lot of this on Jimmy. And he's going to take it way harder than he should. And honestly, this should lead, like you said, to this 3 versus 3 tag match at WrestleMania. And I think the Vision and ISHO Speed should win.
yeah, same.
I I think
I
they
think
should
they
win.
will if they make this, and it just fuels the Jay issue further.
I want the Vision to win with ISHO Speed, and then I want Jay at Mania to lose it. I want him to lose it, and I want him to chair up LA Knight and
Yeah.
Jimmy Uso.
Yeah, well, I think he may hold off on Jimmy for a bit, but I think LA Knight is gonna get a hell of a yeet down.
I could see that. I could see LA Knight getting a yeet down, right? I could see him getting that, and I could see maybe Jimmy trying to defend LA Knight.
Yeah,
And that
that's
be the thing that is really then now going to push Jay over the edge with his brother. And you know what I'm saying? You lost the tag team titles for us. Then we lose at WrestleMania, probably because LA Knight gets pinned, right? And then you try to defend LA Knight. It just, this can go so many good ways. And honestly, it seems like everything is trending that way. It's hard to believe. It's hard for me to think that WWE would be planning something different with all of the cards that they've kind of laid out with this match. So
yeah.
it's hard to think they would do anything different. So this is looking to be something really fun. ISHO Speed being added to this. I'm gonna have to go online and look at some of the stuff that they've been doing because I typically don't. But that sounds really interesting. The stuff that Logan and Theory apparently Theory are doing. It's Speed's not with them, right?
No. No,
Okay.
this was just Theory and Logan on Instagram.
Okay. So let's see what's going on. All right. So Rhea Ripley
And
calls out.
BFAB, right?
Oh yes, she's wrestling BFAB. Not a great match. But I don't think it was expected to be. And Jade ends up getting the one up over on Rhea. Now, was this the segment? Was this the same show that had Jade and BFAB and Meechin talking at the top of the ramp with Rhea in the ring and the crowd was booing
I don't
Jade?
no, I
That
don't
was
think
last
so.
week.
Yeah,
Okay.
this oh, well, no. No, this actually was it.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, where they were getting a lot of boos.
They were getting a ton of
Yeah,
boos.
that was this week. You're right.
The fans were not even letting the girls talk.
Yeah.
I get it. I wish they would. I wish they would just let them finish and let them say what they got to say. Because honestly, if you're listening, Meechin and BFAB were not that bad on the mic. What they had to say, how they delivered it wasn't bad. It's just the crowd is just not sold on them. And not sold on them with Jade. Which, if I'm being honest, and listen, maybe I'm a bit of a shill for it because I like it, but I don't think they're supposed to be that great, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think that you have to be sold on them as being these really badass chicks that are with Jade. They're just supposed to be Jade's entourage. They're just supposed to be Jade's hitters. That's it. And I think that the story that they've been telling with them has been pretty good. It's been better than the 4-way women's tag team build has been, for sure. But they didn't really care for that. But Rhea did defeat BFAB by disqualification because Meechin and Jade got involved. Jade stands tall here. More and more, I'm starting to feel like Rhea is going to beat Jade. I feel like
Yeah,
Rhea
we'll
is.
have to see. This was very paint by numbers. I thought we kind of knew what was going to happen here,
Yeah,
which is Rhea's going to get the 3-on-1 beat down, and we'll see how she deals with that. But I think I mean, along with that women's tag, this has been one of the worst builds, in my opinion, to any of these WrestleMania matches, which is disappointing in a way. I get, if there's a number of matches, one of them's got to be the worst, but I think this has been pretty disappointing as well, at least to this stage of it.
yeah. I mean, listen, to me, there only seems to be a handful of things that are being built really well right now toward WrestleMania, right? Like I'm looking right now at Raw and SmackDown. Aside from Oba and Brock, aside from Cody and Randy, let's see what else is here. Dog, we got 12 matches. Aside from, ironically, Sammy and Trick.
I
And
mean,
maybe if I throw in
I
Drew
would say
and
Jacob and
Jacob.
Drew.
Yeah.
I would say Finn and Dominic.
Okay.
I would say Stephanie and Liv, at least after this week. I
Yeah, this
enjoyed
one wasn't
this week and
this week
last
wasn't
week.
too bad.
AJ and Becky, I guess it's a toss up, but I would lean that I've liked that build better, even though it has been more sporadic. So, like, of matches that have build, and we got a new one on Raw that I think I would go ahead and in one segment throw it up there as a bigger build.
And
So
that is what?
Seth and Gunther.
No. Well, you know what? Let me stop. I can't speak for you. This was one of the things that I was going to bring up as not great. What is this? What I mean, this feels like Gunther and Seth just needed to have a match. This is out
Well,
of
that's exactly what
nowhere.
it is. But I'm
Sure.
fine with it.
Listen, do I think it's going to be a good match? Sure. But for me, WrestleMania is the time for stories. I think great matches are built off the backs of great stories. If you don't have great stories, you just have good matches. Like, I'm sorry, the stories have to accompany the matches, and particularly for me around WrestleMania time. This makes no sense whatsoever. Why is Gunther going after Seth right now? Is he going after Seth just because he wants to have a match at WrestleMania? I mean,
Yeah,
clearly.
we'll have to see what Gunther says. I mean, obviously we didn't get any words from him, but very clear that I led everyone astray with my very confident assertions that Braun Breaker would be back. He is very not healthy, apparently, because otherwise that would have been him attacking Seth there. But
Yeah,
yeah, we'll
yeah.
see. I mean, I think it's obvious these are two of their top guys who had their plans go astray because of injury. So we'll see what they do. But I have more faith that they can build this up in 2 weeks than they can do more for me to heat up Rhea and Jade.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree, and here's why. Because I feel like Rhea and Jade are kind of in a hole. And anything that they do in the next couple weeks is an attempt to dig themselves out of that hole. I think when it comes to Rollins and Gunther, there is no hole. There's nothing. And so whatever it is they build is only going to go up unless they dig themselves in a hole 1 week they've got to dig themselves out of, which honestly, I think is very possible. It's very easy to avoid because there's nothing here. The only thing you really need to do is have Seth be really mad at Gunther for doing this. Gunther not have any other reason than that he wants a match at WrestleMania. So he's going to attack Seth and then have them attack each other at least once prior to the show. That's the way I think you keep it above water. That's the way I think you keep it above board. But to me, this is still so far out of left field. And listen, who was Gunther feuding with that got injured? I don't even remember. Was he
It was
feuding
gonna
with?
be it was gonna be Mysterio.
Okay. He was going to try to retire Ray.
Maybe, but it was definitely going that way because they had tangentially involved Ray and Gunther and Dragon Lee, and I think they were going to set up Ray and Gunther.
I got you. Ray is doing full-time duty on AAA right now.
Is he?
Oh yeah, he's up there every week. He's up there every week. He's on the
Yeah.
announcers team. But I get it, right? I get it. We're having to make plans here because Seth is cleared. We want Seth on Mania. We want Gunther on Mania. Braun Breaker is not cleared. So we're going to run a program. We're going to run an angle between Seth and Gunther. I totally understand. I have two minds about it. I get it from the realistic perspective. From the storytelling perspective, however, WWE's going to have to make this make sense because Gunther comes out and just attacks Seth. We need to have a good reason why. He held Seth's head and pointed to the WrestleMania sign. If Gunther's only reason for attacking Seth is Seth was easy pickings to get into and get onto the WrestleMania card, if you sell it right, I'd be okay with it. If you sell it right, I'd be okay with it. All Rollins has to do at this point is be mad. But I also think this also pivots totally away from Seth and Heyman, which we've been building to really heavy. Not the match between the two of them, obviously, but we've been building something between Seth and Heyman. I fail to think that you were building this whole thing between Seth and Heyman on the premise that Braun Breaker was going to be cleared, and then last minute you find out Breaker's not cleared. I fully believe that WWE is fully in the know of Braun Breaker's prognosis. They're not guessing. You know what I'm saying? I think they know and they knew that Breaker was not going to be cleared. And so what were you building to? What are you building to? If this comes out next week that this Seth Rollins and Gunther angle has zero to do with division and zero to do with Heyman, brother, that right there is going to be the sidestep pivot of all sidesteps and pivots. And I don't know. I listen, I'm a fan. I can't speak for other fans, but if there are other fans that feel like me and think like me, that's gonna kind of suck. I think the match is gonna be good because how you go wrong with the match between Gunther and Seth, right? And I think that Seth and Gunther will go out there and they'll do their best to sell it. But at the same time, it's like, so we just dropped the whole Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman thing. We just kind of went away from that just on a whim. That seems a little weird 2 weeks before WrestleMania. It's kind of like The Rock being in Cody Rhodes' story, and then weeks before Mania, The Rock just disappears and he's nowhere to be found anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like 2 years in a row. It's kind of weird. But at any case, let's see.
Yeah, so as far as that goes, like I think let's see what they give us next week. Your concerns are definitely very valid, though. I would also be disappointed if they do not find some way to keep going with the Rollins and Heyman stuff, which has been very, very good stuff as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. I agree with you 1000%, Skeeter. I think that the stuff between Seth and Heyman has been really good and really intentional. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been really intentional. The things that they've been setting up, the angles that they've been putting forth. Last week, the whole thing with Heyman talking about Becky and Seth's kid, and then Seth, like, all that was so freaking good. If you just bring in Gunther and then you step all the way away from that, it would just feel like a waste. It just feel like a waste. So speaking of something that was not a waste, you brought this up earlier. Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer. That was a pretty good angle this week. I like the fire coming off of Liv.
Yep.
I definitely like the fire coming off of Liv. Stephanie takes a beat down because we have a returning Roxanne Perez. I didn't even know Roxanne was hurt.
I had forgotten that she was hurt, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, she's been gone for a bit."
When they said that she returned, I did think to myself, "Oh yeah, we haven't seen Roxanne in a little while." I didn't notice because they kind of pulled away a bit from some of the Judgment Day stuff and kind of centered in on Dom and Finn and Stephanie and Liv, and less about the Judgment Day. But yeah, not when they brought that up, I was like, okay, yeah, I forgot. I guess Roxanne was injured. I don't know how she got injured. I don't know when that happened, but she's back and she contributed to this beatdown with Stephanie. So, you know, again, this is another one of those situations like with Rhea and Jade and her entourage. I have no idea where this could be going. But it feels like when you have the odds, based on just history, right? When you've got the odds stacked against someone and they're continually catching beatdown after beatdown after beatdown, and we've only got a couple weeks left before Mania. Unless Stephanie is able to get the jump on Liv, right, and bypass Roxanne and Raquel entirely, I can't see how Stephanie even gets close to Liv to get her lick back. And then we go into WrestleMania, And the idea that Liv is going to get these consistent beatdowns on Stephanie and then go into WrestleMania and beat Stephanie, I'm not entirely sure that type of booking would be the strongest booking for Stephanie. I don't know how you manage to keep her hot, particularly because I feel like Stephanie's kind of been cooling off a little bit in general.
Yeah, she has.
And it's like to go into Mania and come out of Mania like that, I feel like you're really putting the ice packs on her and in a very noticeable way. So I kind of feel like if you're trying to keep the attention off of the idea that Stephanie is probably going to drop the title, Stephanie's got to get a W over Liv in some way. And I just don't know how you do it unless she starts like guerrilla warfare sneak attacking Liv to get around Roxanne and Raquel, because she's got a squad around her the same way Jade's got a squad around her. And, unless they start sneak attacking and getting around, I don't know how you get that win back. And I'm hung up on these things
I think
right now.
I think they'll find a way. I mean, there's always a way to do it.
Yeah, there is. We're just not getting a lot of wrestling from them right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not getting a lot of wrestling. We're not going to get any matches, obviously. Thank God. Thank God we got away from that, by the way. The Vince McMahon way, prior to a PLE, would have been to put these folks in a tag match prior to the PLE, where one person could beat another person without actually taking a pin from that person, and then you go into the one-on-one. So I'm glad we're not doing that anymore, because I kind of dislike that. But right now, we're getting a lot of promos, a lot of talking segments between people, a lot of impromptu fighting, which I don't mind. But I will say this: all of this impromptu fighting is starting to run together. Brawl after brawl after brawl.
It is
after
a little
brawl.
bit, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of starting to run together. And I'm not trying to sound down on this. I'm really not, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not. But this kind of feels a little bit like WWE does not know what to do with their hands right now. It kind of feels like they don't know what to do with these storylines up to WrestleMania. It's not like they're running out of plot for the story, but all the plots seem to kind of be the same. And I don't know if this is a product of the fact that we've had injuries that have kind of derailed these deep-seated stories that they've been building, and this is what the pivot looks like in the fourth quarter. It's very possible, right? And I'm not faulting them for that. You got to do what you got to do. But it does not change the fact that what's showing up on the screen, on our TVs, on our computer monitors, on your phones, if you're watching it on mobile, is night after night, beatdown after beatdown. You get segments that have implied meaning, but some of the beats seem off. Some of the beats don't seem to land the way that they should. Things are said in these segments that don't always make a lot of sense. We can rationalize them. We can rationalize them as fans and make them into things that make sense. But it feels sometimes to me, Skeena, like they had a plan, right? And WWE, in the attempt to do this really long booking storytelling where they're telling these stories that they've been building over months and months and months and months and months, you find yourself in a situation where when a cog in your machine breaks and you've got to pivot, you've got to do something different, you've rooted yourself into stories so deeply that making a change is hard. And what you're left with is very simple, cookie cutter, by the numbers booking with a lot of these things. So much so that you've got energy placed into trying to figure out your major story arcs. You're getting other story arcs that you're building for toward WrestleMania that aren't really getting a lot of energy at all, right? Lazy storytelling, lazy writing. And like, we haven't even gotten to the fact that, like, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe we're probably going to get a Women's United States Championship match between Julia and Tiffany Stratton. And this has had some of the weakest booking of anything that's been being put forward for WrestleMania weekend. Like, it's just been a match and then another match.
I think that's a pre-show match, if anything. Like, I don't think that's going to be on the card.
Ooh, boy, listen to me. Listen to me. If that's a pre-show match, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, last year, Tiffany Stratton was the WWE Women's Champion And now she is in a match against Julia for the U.S. Championship that is a pre-show match. It's not even on the main card.
I mean, I don't see that being on the card in any way.
I mean, you got...
I'm not even necessarily sure it's going to happen either. I mean, but Tiffany's been injured, and that's what happens when you're injured. Is
Not if
that
you,
can
not if you hot. Not if you're hot.
well she wasn't. Like, and we
Well,
talked about that.
Well, that's the point I'm making, right? That's the
Okay.
point I'm making, is that how the mighty have fallen. But then again, like we've said before, the WWE Championship run was a kind of lackluster. It didn't really hit on much of anything, and you couple that with the injury, you come back and you're on the card where you are. I get it. That's the reality of the situation, right? But at the same time, it's like, holy smokes, you were the world champion last year, and now you're on the pre-show. If the match even gets on the card, that's a crazy turnaround. That is a crazy turnaround. Let's see. So Triple H stops Oba and Brock from going heads up. Brock comes out this week dressed to fight.
Mm-hmm.
He has dropped the cowboy boots and the jeans, and he is out here with the gloves on, and he's ready to go.
And looking as jacked as ever.
Yeah, he is looking pretty jacked.
Ooh.
He's looking pretty jacked. He usually gets himself in pretty jacked shape right around Mania time, and he looks pretty jacked. But he and Paul come to the ring. Paul is doing his Heyman thing. Brock snatches the mic from him, and he straight up calls out Oba. He calls out Oba. Who comes out? If I'm not mistaken, it wasn't Oba. Wasn't it Triple H first?
It was Adam Pearce first.
Okay, Adam Pearce comes out first.
And all the
officials, the black shirts.
All the local talent security.
Oh, yeah.
Ready to get tossed around.
The LTS crew, local talent security. Yeah, they come out and they're like, this is not happening. This is not happening. And then Oba's music hits because it is happening. Oba is coming
and
to the ring.
I think they've settled on the perfect way to do that entrance.
I agree.
And time everything and the drums and the lights and
for sure. They've timed it into the spectacle that it needs to be. And Oba comes out, and he comes out and he does his walk, and it's just perfect. And he comes to the ring. Oba does his little fair share of throwing some officials around himself. Listen, between Oba throwing officials around, between Brock throwing officials around, between Punk elbowing, what was it, Adam Pearce?
I forget who Punk did.
No, I think it was Roman. I think Roman elbowed Adam Pearce in their segment. Punk threw some officials around. Somebody hit Jamie Noble. Somebody hit Jamie Noble. It might have been Punk or Roman hit Jamie Noble, and then
Jamie Noble it took a stiff one.
He took a stiff one, and then I believe Adam Pearce took an elbow from one of them. Listen,
I think Roman hit Petey Williams with a spear too.
Listen, being an official right around WrestleMania is not a safe space for you to be. Like, these brawls are happening. They're sending you guys out there to be lambs to the slaughter, to the wood chipper. And, as it gets closer and closer to Mania, it seems like these guys care less and less. But Brock is doing a world-class job, in my opinion, of selling this duality, okay? Brock is doing a great job of selling this idea that he needs to get his hands on Oba because he's pissed off that Oba keeps one-upping him each week. And he does a great job of doing this and selling this while simultaneously selling this idea when Oba comes out that he is absolutely 100% unsure that he can get the job done. And he's doing it in such a subtle way that it's making me feel like we should have been doing way more with Brock in the years that we had him. He's doing such a great job here in a way that we've only seen him do a few times. I get the idea of utilizing it sparingly because we make it count. I can appreciate that. Seeing him do it and do it here and do it so well and knowing full well that come WrestleMania, he's likely going to take the L. He's likely going to take the L to Oba. We're going to put Oba over big. Brock is doing such a great job. I wish we got more of this over the years that we had him and less of just the Heyman talking, Brock coming out, and Brock kind of crushing everyone. Though, I will say this and then I'll turn it over to you, Skeener. I get the idea that it's almost like I see it now and I wish we got more of it. But the reason why I'm loving it so much now is because we didn't get a lot of it before. I get that. And you had to build Brock up to be this person that he is so that when you get to this moment, it feels credible. It feels credible. It feels earned. I get it. This is, in my opinion, I think only because I know it's going to be probably the shortest match on the card. And I know that the outcome is probably the most predictable. It's probably my second most anticipated match so far. Just because I think of the way that this build has been put forward has just been incredible. But your thoughts, Skeener, on their interaction this week?
I think everyone has been knocked out of the park so far, and I don't think this was any different. Like you pointed to, I thought a great touch is Brock is pissed now to the point that he doesn't want to let Heyman talk anymore. He's just going to take the mic and say, "Why don't you get out here, Oba?" Like,
Yep.
which I loved. And then them just going back and forth, obliterating all the security guards, and Adam Pearce and Triple H comes out and it's like, "Hey guys, come on. Let's save this till Mania." But I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
We got 2 more weeks to get through. We'll see what they do, but people are chomping at the bit along with us to get to this match, and if they're not, I don't think I've had a single complaint about how they've done Brock and Oba so far.
Do you think we get a contract signing?
No.
I'm
No,
just wondering
the match is already official.
I'm just wondering.
I don't know what we're gonna do.
But isn't every match official? Like when they call out and they say, I'm challenging you at WrestleMania. Like, isn't it always official? Like,
well, I think contracts have to be signed.
I agree, but don't they always get signed?
Yeah, but we don't have to see them. I think we've signed the contract. We won't need to see this one. I don't think they'll do that.
I'm just wondering what we do for the next 2 weeks. Like, this is cool, and
I'm not sure. But
they've been doing a good job with this.
Gonna figure it out.
They've been doing a good job with this one of keeping it interesting, and it keeps me guessing.
There's always time for an arm wrestling contest. Always time.
I almost feel like it could be something that they try.
And it would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Maybe.
Maybe. You'd love to see those two go at it and arm wrestle.
I want you to give me your honest opinion. One, how do you think the internet would take an arm wrestling match between Brock Lesnar and Oba Femi 2 weeks prior to WrestleMania? How do you think they would respond? And 2, the second question, who do you think would win in an arm wrestling match between Oba and Brock?
Well, I think it's a non-finish.
Okay.
I think it's a non-finish. Something happens. Maybe the table gets knocked over, and then they just get to wrestling around before they get separated.
Yeah, somebody attacks.
I mean, the internet would hate it, but that normally means you're doing something right in some aspects. So look, the people that would be upset about an arm wrestling contest between Brock Lesnar and Oba Femi are not the people whose opinions I necessarily care about. So
I think the internet would probably think that WWE has run out of ideas. And honestly, if they did that, I can't say with certainty that I wouldn't think the same thing. If they went to do a arm wrestling match 2 weeks before Mania, I think my initial thought would be, okay, they ran out of ideas. And now we're doing an arm wrestling match. Like, we didn't even build to it. Maybe if you built to it, but you're not going to build to that before WrestleMania. That'd be a strange thing to do.
No, I'm just throwing it out there, though.
Arm wrestling matches, pose-offs, pose-downs.
This isn't the feud for the Quiz Bowl, but some feuds could do a Quiz Bowl good. Imagine Danhausen in a Quiz Bowl.
That would be funny.
See?
That would be funny.
You're starting to see the vision.
But that works for, like, doing Danhausen in a Quiz Bowl with The Miz, Kit Wilson, and
see, now you're on board. Now you get it.
I'd be totally down for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be totally down for that. So I'm sitting here getting ready for the podcast, right? I'm pulling up Raw, pulling up SmackDown. I pull up Raw, and I'm scrolling through, and the headline, CM Punk plants Roman Reigns through a table. Now, listen, I know I was tired when I was watching this, because I didn't even remember this at all. I had to watch the segment prior to the pod to catch this because I think I laid down and I had it on my phone and I think I was fast falling asleep when this was playing. And so I missed it all, but I just watched it back. And yeah, so Roman Reigns is in the ring. I'm assuming he calls out Punk because the clip I played is on WWE's website and it started with Punk coming to the ring. So fill me in. So Roman comes to the ring. What
Yes,
transpires?
Roman was out there, and the crowd acknowledged him, and then Punk came to the ring with his
Okay.
taping his fists and ready to go, and they just got to it.
Okay. So
And
there wasn't
then
a whole
then
lot of talking
producers,
before.
no,
Okay.
no,
Got it.
we
Got it.
we've
Got it.
done the talking. We doing the fight now, and yeah, just a good old brawl. A couple more. So earlier, the fake security got beat up. This is where all the producers got beat up.
Yep.
And like I said, Petey Williams took that pig spear from
Yeah,
Roman.
he did.
But yeah, Punk got the upper hand, hit him with the GTS, and put him through the announce table with a power bomb. Got his lick back in the same exact way.
Yeah. And listen,
So Punk stood tall. I thought this was a good one. I loved
I
him
did too.
mocking the chants. But yeah, they needed to just do as much as we talked about them overdoing the brawls. Like they needed this.
This one needed it. This one needed the brawl. I think the brawl was exactly what they needed here, and they did it. I think Punk getting his lick back. I don't know if going the route of having Punk and Roman lay hands on each other again before
Exactly
Mania
what I was gonna say.
is necessary.
Yeah, I think this is the last time they touch each other.
I agree. I don't think they need to lay hands on each other anymore. I think whatever story narrative that they were driving toward prior to the physical interactions between Punk and Roman, they need to dial that back in and bring us back into where it is that the story is supposed to be going between Roman Reigns and Punk. We already understand the general beats, right? That Roman hates Punk. Punk doesn't really care for Roman. He doesn't feel like Roman respects him the way that the other Samoans seem to respect him. And Roman doesn't like Punk and thinks that Punk is old. They feel like they're trying to get under each other's skin. Then we got to Punk calling out the deficiencies of Roman in that Roman always needs to have help to win. And this week, Roman had no help and Punk put Roman through a table. So are we leaning into the idea that Punk is right, that Roman ain't going to be able to get the job done if he doesn't have help? And now we need to get back to the narrative beats here and have Punk speak to that if that's the angle that he's going. Roman needs to speak to whatever is going through his head right now. Does this match have a contract signing? I think it does. I think they do get a contract
Possibly.
signing with this one.
I can see that.
I think it gives you a segment for them to do some talking that doesn't have to get physical. That's not just an in-ring segment with them talking. Like this one could use it. You may get a contract signing between Randy and Cody. No, we already had that. That's what happened between in the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I definitely think Roman and Punk get one because we've already done the one with Cody and Randy, so it's not going to be double dipping 2 weeks prior to Mania. But we need to do something with Punk and Roman to where they're not laying hands on each other and it's not just 2 weeks in a row of them showing up to the ring and talking trash. But honestly, the last week from Mania, I don't think any of it matters. I think that you've got to the point there where it's all downhill. The fans are as locked in as they're going to be. And, Mania is right around the corner. Speaking of Mania, so have you been hearing the same things that I've been hearing, Skeener, about Mania's ticket sales?
Sort of. I mean, I know they weren't selling as many as they have previously, but nothing more than we've, kind of discussed a couple other times here.
I've not been keeping up as tightly as I was before, but all I keep hearing is, and listen, I know a bit of this is hyperbole. WWE is not in trouble financially. Let's be real. They make way too much money each year to be in trouble financially. But I do get the idea that WWE, WrestleMania, they're not selling as many tickets as they used to. I have a question for you, Skeener. I just want your opinion. Do you think that in the future, these 2-night WrestleManias are going to be sustainable when it comes to quality of the match card? We've been talking quite a bit about how a decent number of these matches that are on the card are poorly booked. They seem to be poorly written. There seems to be lazy writing with a lot of these things. A lot of these segments seem to be repeating in their tone, in their style, in their templating. And so I'm wondering, with WrestleMania being the precipice of events for the year, for the quality of storytelling that you're trying to get across, does it make sense to continue doing WrestleMania, SummerSlam as these big 2-night events? Or does it make more sense, cohesive storytelling wise, to bring WrestleMania back to like a 1-night event?
I think WrestleMania is fine as a 2-nighter. SummerSlam I don't think needs to be 2 nights. I
Yeah.
think that is more a purely financially driven move. WrestleMania I think makes sense. Even if I think kind of like what I said, if there's 12 or 14 matches, one of them's got to be the worst built. Like it just someone's got to be last. I think there's enough good things to go around and I'd rather do the 2 nights than the 8 hours on one day. I think nobody liked that when
No,
that
that
got
was
to be
terrible.
the thing. So, yeah, I think for now it's sustainable. I think the ticket stuff is exactly what we talked about the first time, which is one, I don't think 2 years in the same spot is a good thing to do. And there's a reason they haven't done it in so long since was that WrestleMania 5 and 6 or 6 and
Something
7,
like that.
whichever ones were. Yeah, I think that hurts. And then that they were just too expensive this year. They overplayed the hand, and they found out what the point was where it was too much.
Yeah.
And I don't. We're not going to have an empty building. They're going to find a way to sell this place out or at least get all those people in there and it'll be fine. But hopefully they learned the lesson, which I think a few months ago when we first talked about it was at least I remember that was my goal was like, yeah, they seem like they're screwing this one up. Hopefully they learn. But I think they're learning because they've had to. I've seen they've been doing a lot of sales. They walked back on the broadcast blackouts for places in the
Did
area.
they?
Oh yeah, they walked that back. So places like in Vegas can have watch parties and stuff. So yeah, I think they just screwed up, overplayed the hand, and they figured out where the line was, and hopefully they don't cross it again.
We can
But as
hope.
far as but as far as 2 nights go, I think it's fine for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
With the size of the roster they have now, I think it works.
Okay.
If you keep it, a 3-hour show each night, it doesn't need to be, 4.5 each night. I think it's fine. I
Yeah.
think it's fine. I think I get what you're saying that like if we went to one night with like 8 matches that we really focused on, probably would it be better in terms of consistent storytelling quality for every match? Probably. But I don't know if that's worth it to me. I would rather have 2 nights and have a couple that I'm just like, this is a low point of the card for me than have one packed night that you have to just be on top of the roller coaster at every single point. I know that sounds strange, but I really think that's a better structure.
I get it. I get that. I get that. I think I agree with you in the idea that SummerSlam could maybe go to 1 night.
Yeah, I don't think that needs to be two.
I'd be down with WrestleMania being 2 nights, but not like how many hours is it, like 4 hours each night?
I'd have to see how long it was. I think they've been sticking to like 3.5, 3.5.
Because I feel like the show starts officially at like 7 and it goes to 11. I think the pre-show starts at 6.
Yeah, so the main cards have been around like 4 hours
So, and this
each night.
I could be down with WWE doing WrestleMania 2 nights and have the main cards be 3 hours. If you shaved an
Yeah, that's
hour
what I
off
was
of each,
saying.
you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
each of those, and just 6 hours total, I think yes, you trim down on the number of matches that are on each night, and then it gives you a bit more of a laser focus on them so that you can tell a bit better stories with them. But yeah, I think the 4 hours each night, it goes by quick. So it's not like I'm saying it like it's a slog, but I think it just you got more time I think than you need, and not every match is going to be 30 minutes long. And so you're going to, have some matches that are going to be shorter, some matches going to be longer, and it just gives you more card to fill. And I think you just spread yourself a little bit thin. The last question I wanted to ask you, Skeens. So next year's WrestleMania is Saudi Mania.
Yes, sir.
Given all of the changes that have happened in the world since Saudi Mania was announced, do you still think that WWE is going to Saudi Arabia this time next year?
1,000%. As we're sitting here today, 1,000%.
Okay.
Which is 10 times 100. So that's how sure I am. Granted, I was very sure Braun Breaker was going to come back, but that wasn't at 1,000. This is, I don't see anything changing there. There'd be too much red tape contract wise, too much money there. I don't see that changing at all.
I think this will be the first time that we would be sending, and granted, this is an entire year from now, but given what we currently understand about what's happening in the Middle East, what certain parties that are involved, what their goals are, long-term wise, strategy wise, who is being affected, how they're being affected, and the fact that the certain parties and their initiatives care nothing about the economic ramifications of those they are affecting. I could see the Middle East being a place that is not physically safe and financially suitable to carry WrestleMania in Riyadh in 2027. Could I see a world where WWE is forced to not go? Absolutely.
I think they'd have to be forced to not go. Like, it would have to be illegal for them to go almost, which I don't foresee that happening.
Oh, I think that all it has to be is a financial incentive to not go. I think just as strong as the financial incentive can be to go, I think all you need is a financial incentive to not go. And if the financial incentive to not go is particularly the loss of long-term money-making ability by TKO because of some sort of scandal that will be tied around WWE due to some sort of loss of property, loss of life, loss of injury, or injury or something like that due to conflict over there, I think TKO, like any other company, predicting, and listen, mind you, the board on TKO has a fiduciary responsibility to make money for the company. They also have a responsibility to protect the financial assets of the company. They have to make decisions that may not be popular to protect financial investments and to secure financial assets, right? If I think the board felt like they would lose money, present and future money, by going to Saudi Arabia next year, I think they would absolutely pull a WrestleMania 42 the way they did with New Orleans. They announced it. New Orleans was the location. And then months later, they pulled it and they're going back to Vegas. They didn't explain why, though we found out why. They didn't explain why, and they didn't feel the need to. They're just, we're going back to Vegas. And I could see a world where, based on what's happening right now, based on currently how things are moving, if parties involved are willing to fight and willing to keep up the fight, I could see a world where WWE is like, we've got an announcement announced through ESPN app that WrestleMania is going to be in Milwaukee, and no announcement as to why. Have you guys ever had a PLE?
Oh, I'm sure there's been PLEs, but not since I've been here. Not since the, almost 2 years I've been here.
I know for a fact Virginia has never gotten a PLE. And I don't think we ever will. I don't think we ever will. Like, the Norfolk Scope is not a big enough venue to get enough tickets. And the Hampton Coliseum, for some strange reason, they only want to use the Hampton Coliseum for like college graduations and art shows and musical talent that is far past their prime. I don't understand why we don't utilize it for other things. But as long as I live in Virginia, I don't think we will ever get a premium live event from WWE coming to our shores. But
Looks like there have been 6 PLEs in Milwaukee.
lucky.
Most recently 2012 though, so it's been a while.
And where would they have those PLEs? Where the Bucks play?
I would assume so, yeah. That's
Okay,
where it has been in the past.
that makes sense.
The former Bradley Center,
I've heard.
which
Yes,
I think the Bradley Center's still there, but now the Bucks play in Fiserv Forum.
okay.
So
I remember hearing the Bradley Center as a location for a PLE before. I don't think I ever paid
oh
attention
no,
to
it's
exactly.
okay. Wait, no, it is demolished. I was gonna say.
Okay, so the
So
Bradley
yeah,
Center is no
it would now
longer
be
okay.
correct.
Okay. I feel like I remember hearing that at some point. I mean, obviously, I'm not always paying attention to exactly where these places are, but that name sounds familiar. Like I've heard it before announced with a PLE. But man, lucky you guys. You could
So I'm showing 4 PLE / pay-per-views in Virginia.
wha- I'm shocked. What
All
are
right,
those and when and where?
first one, first one, 1997,
Holy smokes!
Richmond, Virginia.
Of course.
In Your House, Cold Day in Hell,
Okay.
which saw the main event of The Undertaker against Stone Cold for the title.
in Richmond in '98.
Yes.
Okay.
Then we go to 2004. The Norfolk Scope gets the Great American Bash, main evented by The Undertaker versus the Dudley Boys in a 2-on-1 handicap concrete crypt match.
What?
So you could
Okay.
have seen Paul Bearer encased in concrete.
Wow. Oh, 04. Okay. In Norfolk.
Here's 2006. We have Armageddon in Richmond.
Okay.
That's Batista and John Cena against King Booker and Finlay. And then
What a match.
the last PLE in Virginia was Backlash in 2016. Main evented by Dean Ambrose versus AJ Styles for the WWE title, which was the first PLE after the return of the brand split.
Interesting. Wow.
Granted they went back to unbranded PLEs after that, but for the brief time they brought them back, that was one. So you've got
Interesting.
4. 3 in Richmond, 1 in the Norfolk Scope.
That's interesting. Where would they have them in Richmond?
It
I have
said Richmond
the
Coliseum,
Richmond Coliseum. Okay. That okay. Wow. I'm gonna have to make a trip up to Richmond.
which when I was looking at the attendances, they were smaller attendances, but I don't know if that was because of, the time of WWE when their attendance was down or was the setup.
The Richmond Coliseum's not that big.
Well, so like here, Richmond Coliseum, the one in 97, the In Your House had 14,300 people.
Yeah.
Then you go to Armageddon 2006, they only put 8,200 in the Richmond Coliseum.
So ticket
And
sales
then
seem to be obviously be down there.
and then by 2016 they're down to putting 7,000 in the Richmond Coliseum. So, yeah, but I think 2016, 2017, that was like the peak of their ticket sale trouble, I believe, in terms of WWE live attendance.
So I just Googled this, and the Richmond Coliseum generally seats around 13,533 people
Yeah, so they were
at capacity.
struggling.
They were
there
at
in
capacity on
2000.
that first show you talked about, right? They were at over
Oh
capacity.
yeah,
right?
middle of the Attitude Era for sure.
And but that's a small Coliseum, right? You know what I'm saying? 14,000. That's a small Coliseum. It's the reason why Virginia has never really entertained the idea of getting a sports team here, because you'd have to build something brand new, and getting the funding for those things has always been an arm and a leg between city and state funding to get
I
it
think
done.
Milwaukee has been trying to get a Royal Rumble because they've been trying to do Royal Rumbles in baseball stadiums, seemingly,
Yeah.
aside from Saudi. But yeah, I think they've been trying to bid for a Royal Rumble. Who knows if they'll get it, but
Yeah. It would be nice. It would be nice.
would be cool.
That'd be a great time to come to Milwaukee. If you were still there, I don't know where you're gonna be at in the next few years. You could still be in Milwaukee.
We're not planning on going anywhere, so
Well, then if it comes back to Milwaukee, then if the airline situation clears itself up, then I'll be headed out to Milwaukee, or you can come to Virginia for something. We can figure that out. But Skeeter, I think that about wraps us up for this
It
episode of the
does.
Lariat Lounge. What is your big takeaway from this week in wrestling from last Friday to this past Monday?
Oh, why don't you go first, and I'll gather my thoughts. I was not ready for it this week. I was not ready for it.
Fair. So I think the thing that I would take away from this week that I find honestly the most interesting is WWE. I truly believe is going to get it right at least twice with WrestleMania. I think by getting it right, I think they're going to hit the nail on the head squarely. I think they're going to hit the nail on the head squarely with Brock and Oba. I think so far the booking of that has been picture perfect. And I think that they're going to round third and they're going to do it well. And when they get to WrestleMania, I think they're going to book that match right. I think Oba and Brock have been playing their roles playing their roles perfectly. And I think that they're going to put Oba over in a very big way. I don't think there's room for disappointment there. The other one, though, Sami Zayn winning the U.S. Championship. I genuinely, in the moment, was like, why on earth did we just do this? And then maybe 2 seconds later, it hit me. Oh, they're putting Trick over.
Oh, yeah, I knew it was happening when that match happened. I'm like, okay, Sammy's about to win, but it's going to be for a good cause in the end.
Well, and listen, when they put the belt on Sammy, I was a little shocked because I thought that we were going to play more directly into like the Sammy heel turn descent and that he was going to lose again. And you know what I'm saying? We were going to roll that into WrestleMania. But no, we're probably going to save that heel turn for either WrestleMania or the Monday or the SmackDown after WrestleMania, right? And he's going to take that title into Mania and he's going to drop it to the person who has been egging him for weeks. What better way to send him over the edge in his heel turn than to have him win the title only to take it into Mania and drop it to his nemesis currently, Trick Williams. And then I got hype because they're doing the thing right. So I think that of all the things that we have on the card, I think that the foregone conclusions here are that Oba is going to beat Brock. Trick is going to take the title off of Sammy. And those things have been told perfectly. So I am so hype for those matches. There are a few others that I'm really hype about. But generally speaking, I'm just getting way more hype for WrestleMania. And I cannot wait. Skeeter.
Oh, I remembered what I was going to say. So are we in the golden age of celebrities in wrestling? Because it feels like everyone they bring in nowadays knocks it out of the park. You got Jelly Roll working matches who, look, that's not everyone's cup of tea, but I watched that and I was like, this dude can work. He's selling when he's hitting his offense. When he got that choke slam, he didn't just choke slam him and put him up. He yoked him up, raised the hand, got the crowd into it, then choke slammed him. I'm like, hey, he can work. He can cut a promo. Speed seems into it. We've seen Speed taking bumps. I mean, Logan Paul's obviously not a celebrity wrestler anymore, but like, look what he's done and come in. And I'm sure I'm forgetting a ton of people.
Bad Bunny.
Like Bad Bunny, like these guys are good now. Like it used to be when celebrities showed up, it was kind of like, what's gonna happen here? But I think every time now it's like, okay, this dude or girl or whoever it is, they like wrestling, they want to be involved, and normally they're pretty good at it. So I just think that's a cool change from especially the era we grew up in, I would say.
I don't disagree. And you bring that up and it just had me thinking about it. And I think you're right. Maybe we are in the golden era of celebrities in professional wrestling because I agree with you 1000%. I don't think we've ever had an era where the celebrities that come into the business and do the task of whatever the celebrities do have been A, dismotivated, B, disinvested, and C, genuine fans of the product. I mean, it's no secret. Bad Bunny, Jelly Roll, they are genuine fans of the product, right? If I Show Speed is not a genuine fan of the product, you couldn't have convinced me that he wasn't because he seems like he gets it. You know what I mean? He seems like he gets it. He seems like he understands how to do the act of professional wrestling and not just the physical aspect of it, not just the wrestling part. Because when you were talking about Jelly Roll, the thing I was thinking was, yeah, I think Jelly Roll did a pretty good job in the ring in that solo match. But what has always struck me about Jelly is he has incredible timing when it comes to his promos. Like he hits them and it's crisp and it's clean and it's believable. And you can tell that the man loves professional wrestling, not just what he's doing in the moment. And it's
even that he comes out to the Toby Keith song because Toby Keith loved pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And I've seen him a few times because I told you I'm still watching TNA. He was in a battle royal in the first couple episodes and doing some good work. So
I
I
didn't
have
realize
no
that was
doubt
Toby
that's
Keith.
because I think Toby Keith was an early investor in the early TNA with the Jarretts. So yeah, I'm sure that's why he comes out to that Toby Keith song.
That makes me like Jelly Roll in this position even more because that's intentional and that is showing.
I mean, I don't know that, but that seems like it would be the case.
I mean, I thought that was Jelly Roll, but I don't listen to Jelly
Oh
Roll,
no,
so
that's Toby Keith.
I didn't listen to Jelly Roll. I don't listen to Toby Keith. So I thought that was Jelly. Jelly Roll is a country singer. I thought that it was Jelly Roll. The fact that it's Toby Keith and Toby Keith is an early investor in what, TNA, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Toby Keith is a wrestling fan. That to me is a cut. That is a deeper cut than most people would get just by watching the product. I didn't get it. And we cover professional wrestling as part of a side hustle. Like, I didn't catch that. So that is an awesome detail. It makes me like Jelly Roll even more. But we are wrestling fans. So we genuinely appreciate when people come into the product and they respect the product, but they also love the product and they love what the product means to people. And so they contribute meaningfully. You know, even Cardi B. I don't know to what degree she really enjoys professional wrestling. And if there was anybody on the list of celebrities that I feel like maybe on the lower end of that totem pole, is probably Cardi.
Is it have we already done the has Sexy Red already showed up to NXT or is that still forthcoming?
I think she already did that. I think that came and went because I think that was before all of the controversy that she got into shortly after that.
Well, it seems like she was. Oh no, no, it's forthcoming.
They're still waiting on that.
She'll be this Saturday at NXT Stand and Deliver. Sexy Red will be there.
Wow. Talk about slow burning that thing.
Well, she appeared in May 2004.
2004, 2024.
2024.
Okay.
She was there in May 2024 when she helped Trick Williams. And now she's coming back because her song became huge on TikTok with the Shawn Michaels memes.
Okay.
Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay.
No. I certainly am not.
I'll have to send you some of the edits.
Yeah, I certainly don't. I'm certainly not online to keep up with it. I'm certainly not keeping up with Sexy Red at all. So
neither am I, but I've seen the memes because I love the memes as a Shawn Michaels fan.
Send it to me. I'll take a look.
Okay.
I'll take a look. But that about wraps us up for this week. Skeener, please let everyone know one more time where they can catch all things Lariat Lounge.
The Lariat Lounge, this podcast, we are coming at you once a week, every week. Find us on YouTube. Search the Lariat Lounge. That's where you'll find us. You'll find the channel, all the videos of the shows, all the old episodes in audio format, the new episodes in audio format. That's where our PLE live streams will be. Our WrestleMania one coming up here in 2 weeks. That'll be there. Anytime we hop on 2K26, that's where it'll be. If you still like listening to the podcast in audio, you can find us wherever you find your shows, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else. That's where you'll catch us. We're over on Instagram at the Lariat Lounge Podcast. Give us a follow there so you can keep up with us. find the links, know when we're going live for PLE streams or for 2K26 streams. And as always, feel free to send us an email at thelariatlounge@gmail.com.
Guys, we really, really do appreciate it. Your listens, they keep this podcast going. And you guys are also paying to keep all the lights on here for Skeena and I. Please continue to grab yourself some merch. ProWrestlingTees.com/the Lariat Lounge. 6 great designs up there. Pick the ones you like. Give them to someone for WrestleMania. It's a perfect stocking stuffer for the WrestleMania holiday. So do yourself a favor. Do your friend a favor. Grab yourself some merch. We really do appreciate it, guys. Genuinely, we do. From your host, Everson Godfrey, co-host Andrew Skeens, this has been another edition of the Lariat Lounge. I'm trying to find where the button is. There it is. Please watch yourself on the way out.